them up, jammed the locks up, and had the superintendent turn on the heat, and we had liberation schools. We went up to Columbia campus and got the students up there, said, well, you want to come down and teach our children? And they came down and taught the kids. They had to get an injunctive order and put the cops out there and say that the public school was not supposed to be accessed out of school hours by non-staff and all of this. And the people became clear then on who the Board of Education side was on. And they took your side. Because you was there trying to get their kids in education. That's what I'm saying. You have the monkey wrench factor. Use it. Slap these Negroes in the face. And the people, when you slap them in the face, they know this is the guy that got that bill passed where they can't get no money. And they're going to say, you from Black Lives Matter? How much y'all? I ain't got no money, but I can give you some of this, I can give you some of that. Y'all keep telling them people the truth about us. That we ain't got nothing over here in the projects, and they ignoring us. Okay? They ignoring you, sister? I got something for their ass. We gonna step to the
organizing place, the welfare office,
the probation office, the parole office. We're talking about decentralizing police. That's your natural constituency. There's 5% of the electoral vote in our communities that's lost to the criminal justice system because they got felonies, because they got felony convictions. Even Obama's talking about moving the box out of the employment application.
And that's because of.
Yeah.
I just wanted to say all of us are not.
All of us are not.
It's an organization that started by
All of us are not.
all of us are not.
Former prisoners.
Sister, you from, what did you say about Ohio?
I just want to put out there that since you brought that up about voting, that in the state of Ohio, if you have a felony and if you are out and have served your time, even if you on parole, you can vote. In the state of Ohio.
And also, stick with it. And keep telling people the good that you are doing in programs, and start with the business that will support, and tell other people, you know, and keep going with that. People catch on like anything else and become a trend. You have a question? Go ahead. Well, thanks for coming to Black Lives Matter. Did you want to say anything else?
Yeah.
What is it? People do good stuff.
Eat healthy food and do good stuff.
And do good stuff. Parties and cakes, yes. Nice party.
So I gotta ask you, since you're really big on tactics, can you talk for a minute? It seems like a lot of the things, like us in the 40-year-old organizing part, we saw both. So we knocked doors, was in the community, built relationships, and now we've kind of gotten spoiled and we try to get it off the internet, try to send people a video. Can you talk about how all of these problems can be fixed if the community and people have an affinity? Because you sat on their couch, you talked to them, and then you built it off of leadership development because you took them and got them involved in the franchise.
That's right, face-to-face relationships with the people. That's what the sister was talking about. They'll drain your energy now. Don't get it twisted. Don't get it twisted. But like I said, you know, some of the first projects that we did were tenant strikes. People relate to the fact that winter they ain't got no heat.
That's right.
You see, so we come with the noise. We come with we gonna get us some heat up in here. And then when we get us some heat, not only gonna get the heat, we're gonna take this landlord's building and we're gonna collectivize it. We're just gonna own the building. And the landlord said, well, this is my property, you wasn't sending up no heat. So we're gonna take your ass to court and we're gonna take this building. If we don't beat you in court, we're gonna beat your ass in the street. It doesn't make no difference which way you go. We don't play fair. We will beat you down, we pistol whip your ass the same way we'll take you to court. You see? And that's what you have to understand, that these people do not play fair. And you have to get in their face, and you have to have a face-to-face relationship with the people. When you have that, they respect you. And that's what the sister was talking about. They'll call you rather than call the police. Okay, we have to talk about conflict resolution, restorative justice. These are the principles of our movement. And we have to make those principles in our movement supersede the laws and the mores in our community at any given point in time.
I'm going to take about 2 or 3 last questions if they're pressing. I'm just going to ask that you please, please, please keep them as brief as possible, and just let's keep the responses as brief so we can wrap.
You made I mixed what I like. You talk about the revisionist issues around Assata Shakur, the Black Panther Party, and then you also wrote a paper within the last month about black gatekeepers. how is this affecting the movement? And what do you, and what was the reason why you felt the need to come public with that information? And what are the bullet points?
One question, I'm sorry, I gotta wrap. One
Okay.
question, I
That's
followed
too
up.
much, yeah, that's too much. I'll just deal with one.
Yeah,
No, I know where he's coming from.
yes,
Yeah, okay,
one.
we're gonna have this conversation during the course of the next few days.
Okay, brother.
Okay, so we can deal with the details. But
Yeah,
the bottom
yeah.
line is, we felt in Atlanta that it's very important right now for you to understand who your class enemies are. For you to understand what it means, how the black gatekeepers function to keep you in check, to put you in a position to compromise what you stand for. So it's the black gatekeepers, it's the black bourgeoisie, it's these Negroes in power.
Black misleadership class.
Black misleadership. When you remember Ferguson, right? What was the mantra that they tried to come out with Ferguson? All the Negroes came out. You didn't participate in the system. You had a white city council. You didn't vote. You see, and you screwed up. And this is why the police treated you this way. Although we come to find out they were fining and using us to raise money. But when we got to Baltimore, it was the black bourgeoisie and the misleadership class that's been in power for 43 years. How do you explain Baltimore then? Okay? How do you explain that? So your movements have come out of reaction to these events, and this leads to a bad thing. This is one of the things I talked about. This leads to leadership by victimhood. Where we allow the victims to tell us what to do and how we should act. So the enemy will trot out the victim's family, who is lost grievously in this. I'm not diminishing their pain, but they'll try them out and say, well, my son and our family, we don't endorse people burning stuff down in the streets, and we don't endorse that. They're not coming out with an analysis of spontaneous rebellion and its value and invalue. Everything has an up and everything has a downside to it. There's an upside to burning shit down. There's also a downside to it. You as activists have to be clear on that. So you could get to the people in the streets who are burning things down and is creating a downside and mobilize them to stand up and use that courage and integrity to confront the system for the upside. So that's why I brought that up about the misleadership class. For these young brothers and sisters to understand who they up against in our own ranks. They are black enemies of black people based on their affinity to white supremacy and their role in dealing with white supremacy to ameliorate our misery. And these are the people that have to be slapped in the face. These are the people that need a slap squad. They shouldn't be allowed to speak nowhere. They shouldn't be allowed to appear nowhere. And if they appear, they should be allowed to appear with the police around them. They're the clear
Like Al Sharpton.
Yeah, quick question, getting back to the local versus the national and the united front, which has to do with the international connect. I mean, I'm from the Caribbean region, right? And a lot of us who are black, not in the United States, are catching hell like in Haiti and in other places. And there's a kind of a nationalism, Americanism that has crept into our movement, where those of us, you talked about the international, about Palestine and the rest of it, but even Black Lives Mattering within the prisons, not only on the street, but also in other parts of the diaspora. And I just wanted you to talk a little bit, any of you, to talk about the importance of that international and not to be used in this Americanism that folks get caught up into.
But I think that these young folks are going there. They haven't really connected to other movements the way we did. Okay, we had an international section in Algeria. Sekou Odinga, who just was greeted in Atlanta, talked about Algeria, talked about Frelimo in Mozambique, M4BL in Angola. We had relationships as a party with all of these organizations. The Black Panther Party offered to send troops to the NLF in Vietnam. The Americans went crazy. You see the memo from the CIA about potential of Americans going to fight American soldiers. But then again, too, we had black soldiers in Vietnam who were Panthers. You see what I'm saying? So the internationalism is going to come to your movement because you're recognized now around the world. But it's coming in the context of pro-con terrorism. You see, the so-called war on terror. We were put in the context of the war on crime. That's how they try to portray us as criminals. A war on crime. We were just gun-toting crazy niggas running around outside posturing with guns. Okay? That wasn't the case. But that's how they tried to portray us. And now they're trying to portray you as a young movement who is disruptive, who does not want to deal with any solutions, who would just want to hear their voice, and the crackers will come up with some dumb shit that all lives matter. Straight up Tracy.
That's the importance of having your own voice.
That's right.
Otherwise, they control your dialogue.
But you're coming into that because you're getting correspondence from people from around the world who are telling you things. Yeah, I see some correspondence from Palestinians telling folks in Ferguson on how to deal with gas attacks. Okay, people are. I write for a Turkish newspaper. The articles that they're clamoring from me now is where is this anti-racist movement going? Is it going to become part of U.S. imperialism
That's right.
abroad, or is it going to become something that a liberating factor? And I want to end with this. Organizations in Palestine, around the world, even in Ghana today, and in Africa today, remember the Black Panther Party. Now, you have to understand, what does that mean? They established their own Black Panther Party in Palestine. Because the Panther Party stood for a clear line between themselves and imperialism, and capitalism, and white supremacy, and sexism. This was our mass line. Black Lives Matter needs a mass line. A mass line is something that everybody is told from Black Lives Matter everywhere, all the time. So everybody that plugs into you, they either down with this mass line, and otherwise they're not going to get down with you. So now you can move all the frauds, the ones that got hashtag All Lives Matter, hashtag Real Lives Matter. All of these folks are enemies of your movement.
I'm going to do 2 last questions, and people can talk afterwards. We can close out for those who do want to get over to the ceremony. Mama Ramona?
I just wanted to make sure that a point that you made and that Dhoruba made doesn't get glossed over. Loving yourself. You can't love anybody or anything else until you love yourself. I mean, it's impossible. What Dhoruba was saying about black people being fearful and all of that, it is so true. When you said that, Dhoruba, the first thing I thought about was Charleston, South Carolina. How did that man reload several times and walk the hell out of there? How did he walk out of there? You know, there is no way in the world that he shouldn't have been tackled, disarmed, whatever. Even if, some people got killed or whatever. There's no way he should have been able to walk out of there.
They suspended their natural instinct for survival based on a bold spirituality. This man's going to kill you. What happened to your instinct, flight or fight? Yes. It was suspended. So if that mentality can be translated into that fear, when you talk to that person, and you can see it glaze over here. I don't want to get involved. I don't want to be involved. But there's one thing that Mao Zedong said. Was it Mao Zedong or was it Ho Chi Minh? Said one spark could start a prairie fire. One person that stands up and says no more can change the paradigm of a movement. That's what happened with Huey P. Newton. When Huey P. Newton stood up and Bobby Seale stood up in there and Huey told that cracker, I ain't never forgot that. Told that cracker, you got your gun, I got mine. Yeah. Go for your gun, cracker. Go ahead. And he backed down. Right? I said, that's my party. I'm not saying everybody got to do that. Everybody has the capacity to do what they can and do what they think is morally. But you have to understand that you are an example for mankind, for humankind. You are the best of examples for humankind. And it's your example that will inspire a child. I remember when I came out of jail after 19 years in jail. I'm going to end with this because I broke down in tears right there and there. The sister walked up to me at a rally in Harlem and had, I think it was a 6 or 7 year old boy, and said, I've been telling him all about you. And I broke down to cry. Because that 19 years in jail was worth it then. It was worth it then. You see? So when that's why I understood what Hank said when that child came up and said, you fed me. Okay? So I know that when I go home and I open up the newspaper and one of them pork chops got slapped up in the face by Black Lives Matter who wasn't here and they told the truth to power, what do we say, Claudia? Hey, that's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. You see, now everybody can't do that. There's some people that got to work the mimeograph machine. There's some people that got to do the internet. You understand? There's some people that got to sweep the sidewalks like Sister Hannah did. You see, but it's all going towards this end. This is why I say the thing right now is you have to create a united front. And you have to create your own voice. You have to draw a clear line between you and all these frauds out there. And you need some cleanup squads. You need some smackdown squads. Throwing eggs and shoes at people.
Now, I'm sorry. I'm going to get one person over here who has their hand up. And that's the last question. And we're going to close out, but then afterwards we have a few minutes before people walk over, or as they're walking over, so definitely stay behind. And also, don't forget that you can catch a lot of these same people are going to be on a panel tomorrow at 1:45, specifically about COINTELPRO and PP. And also they'll be able to share a lot more about their cases and the time they spent in prison.
You said tomorrow at 1:45?
There was a woman in New York, a 32-year-old, that was pulled over by the police because she was driving a BMW and she was admitted to the mental institution.
Yeah. And she stayed in jail for 5 or 6 days.
No, it was a mental hospital.
He stayed in the mental
hospital.
Yeah.
She was a prominent lawyer. But what they did to her, they forced the drug and stuff in her vein and held her captive for 8 days. So now she's suing a city in New York. But when the cops are able to do that, when they pulled her over, just because she was driving a car. So that is a form of intimidation to the people when we're
That's what it's
driving
for,
up.
to intimidate black people.
Yeah. So how will we deal with stuff like that when people read about it and they get fearful? How do we deal with that? Bring that fear.
Well, that's one of the things that spawned my joining Black Panther Party. Because when I was growing up, the cops would kill us with impunity. They were still doing the same thing. It just wasn't, they didn't have internet and couldn't video. But whenever they would get shot, they would always survive.
Right.
For some cops shot by, because we was using 22s and 32s. I said, man, what's up with this? We the only ones dying out here? So, if you understand, if you go look in the history of the BLA, we wasn't about attending rallies and all that stuff. We done did that, been there and did that. Our thing was to exert the consequences. You kill my dog, I'm gonna wax your cat. You see? And you have to understand there can be no justice without retaliation.
Exactly.
That's what the state does when it sends you to the electric chair. You see? So it has to apply to them. Unless there's funerals on both sides, only funerals on our side, we're gonna be singing, Amazing Grace. You see? They have to understand our humanity is the same as theirs. That we cry real tears when our children die, just like they do. And they ain't gonna understand that unless their children are dying. So I hate to say it, but there have to be those brothers and sisters who come forward, and when these atrocities happen, like she talked about Clifford Glover, they got an immediate consequence to Clifford Glover because there was a BLA. There was an answer. There was a BLA out there. There was a Sada Shakur out there. You see, there was a Kwame Myers out there. We would watch the news and get angry.
There was a Dhoruba out there.
We used to watch the news and get angry. I get angry now when I heard about that sister that was just murdered in the I almost punched a hole in the wall in my bathroom. My wife said, "What's wrong? What happened?" I just sometimes I can't turn on the news. I can't stand it.
But that's
Wait, we can keep everyone's attention for like 3-4 more minutes before we break out, please.
Okay.
For anybody else who still has questions, like I said, there is a panel tomorrow, or also catch folks as we're walking out.
What time?
I just want 1:45, and the name of it is COINTELPRO and Political Prisoners. When we fight back and a state, it's like when we fight back and the state pushes back or something, it's title, but it's at 1:45. You'll see it under COINTELPRO. I want to do 2 final questions. If y'all can answer them really quickly and briefly, tersely. One, what's the one lesson, your one lesson from the Black Panther Party? If you had one lesson to share, whether it be like things learned, whether it's right or wrong. But between the four of you, I think we
I think just for brief, I
You can
think
change the bulb, let's change the light bulb.
I don't know.
I think for me is that how much the Panther Party just changed my life. I think that's the thing that I would take to the grave, that if one is going to be free, one must be willing to do whatever is necessary. But that you must change within at the same time you're trying to bring this monster down. So that's what I take, from me, that the Panthers told me it could be done. It showed in certain instances that this system can have the fear of God put in them, and it showed that black people can come together and love and build their liberation.
I think the thing with me, I'm gonna let you, the thing that I realize is that the enemy is afraid of us.
Definitely.
That's what I realize. He's afraid of us. That's why he shoots our children. He thought they were 11 years old, he thought they was 18. Okay?
Yeah.
They're afraid of us.
Yes.
And there's a poem by Gwendolyn Brooks that says, "What will our season be which starts from fear?" And that the only way we can become citizens is in the whirlwind. It's being in the fight that makes you a human being. Whether you win, lose, or draw, you need to be in the fight. And that's your liberation. The fight, the struggle. That's when you're free. So that's what I learned. Without struggle, I wouldn't have lived this long, nor would I feel free.
I learned that, there was this phrase saying, reactionaries are paper tigers. And it is something to be said when you actually experience the fear in your enemy. That when this so-called giant, Goliath, is looking down at little old me and seeing, I see fear. And I'm like, I think we can do this. I think we can do this. And you really have to know that for yourself. And then you won't be so afraid. Now, you will know that there are consequences to your actions, but it depends what you're after. Is freedom worth it? Do Black Lives Matter to us? I don't care about who else we trying to advocate with. I ain't trying to change the hearts of these people. I'd like to change the behavior, but I don't care about their hearts. But I do care about our hearts and how we treat each other. So do Black Lives Matter? Yeah, to me. My life matters. Even though I'm willing to sacrifice it, it matters. I would hope that all the pain I put my family and my loved ones through, being frightened for my well-being, for the choices I've made, I hope it won't be in vain. Because my mama had ulcers and all kinds of stuff trying to track me. So yeah, Black Lives Matter to me. I don't give a damn about how other people feel about us. Just don't fuck with us.
I think what I learned was that, the love of the people. The love of, and it began with the love of my people, and then all oppressed people all over the globe. And it gave me it validated my anger and all of this, and made it meaningful. Whereas before, it was just self-destructive, actually. Because I wasn't going to make it. But plugging into the movement, the Black Panther Party, and I had done the working with SNCC and doing mainstream organizing stuff, suffering the frustrations that you talked about. And all that did was make me more angry. But then when the Black Panther Party came along, and I saw these young brothers and sisters standing up, and fighting back, and doing it out of love for the people. that transformed my whole life. It made it all make sense for me.
Yeah.
Final piece, and I do appreciate you all staying. You know, I value time, but I also value moments that don't occur regularly. I value moments when they go from textbook and from theory to actual, you know, tangible in person, and what we don't get so often. And then afterwards, when people pass, we wish we would have had those moments, or we say, wow, and it's now history. So thank you. I have one final piece to connect to today. What inspires you most about the movement today and about what all these young folks are doing today?
Well, I think real quick, in general, even just dealing with Black Lives, I think the makeup of Black Lives, who's in the forefront right now, probably inspires me more than anything. Like when they did that opening today, and that one sister said, and you got a trans woman standing in front of you walking, I'm like, you know that would have happened in the 60s. But you know that means we really are going to include all black people this time. I'm like, man, we might really get this right this time. We might really get it right. So I'm inspired. Oh, it was good.